So this is what's left of my brand new bike. Let me explain. So a few weeks ago I bought this once very expensive bike for only 175 euros. A bargain, but it had some problems that I knew about. And after I found out that it wasn't the easy fix that I hoped it would be, I decided to completely DIY a full rebuild and also swap the entire motor and battery management system. And because it had some scratches, I decided that it wouldn't be right if we didn't change the color, which is where we ended up right now. The first thing to do now is to get the sticker off and start sanding the bike, prepping it for paint. So it might not be the most fun job in the world, but it's something that we have to do properly in order for the paint to lay down smooth and even stick to the surface. So I'm just going to take my time and do a proper job of it to get a nice finish in the end result. So while prepping the bike for paint, I'm sanding it, going up in grit to make it very smooth to the touch. And next to that, I'm also making sure that it's very clean in every nook and cranny. And after that, I'm masking off the VIN number on the frame, just to be sure that I can prove the bike's actually mine in the future, if I ever need to. The VanMoof comes equipped with a very stylish but very useless LED dot display. And because I want a more detailed display on the handlebars, I'm just closing up the holes with some body filler and sanding them smooth afterwards. I also planned on using some personal decals, which I 3D printed with the curve of the top tube in it. But because these did not look good at all, I just ditched this idea and painted everything one very cool color. So the paint just came in. And so the new color for the bike is going to be Ferrari Verde Zeldweg, which is a darker green metallic color. It's going to look really cool. And some filler primer and some clear coat. So I'm just masking off some parts of the bike that I don't want any paint on. And then we can take it outside, start cleaning it and throwing the first coat of primer on it. So now it's time for the first coat of primer. Let's hope this goes well. Right, so that's all the coats of primer done. It's all looking pretty good. So I think we can move on to some color. So after the bike was painted, it looked amazing, well, at least in most spots, and the dark green color really sparkled in the sun and it made the whole bike look very stealth, so I'm really pleased with the color I chose. Sadly, not every part of the bike looked this good, and I think it was just a bit too cold outside to paint, and that's something that I should have known, but oh well, we are here to learn. So I got a few runs in the clear coat and also some hazy bumpy spots that I'm not too happy with. So I'm really hoping that these will come out after sanding and polishing, but I'm not sure yet. I'm always a bit scared of sanding paint just because I don't want to risk sanding through the clear coat and into the color, but luckily that did not happen this time. After some very light and careful sanding, I got all of the marks out of there, which meant I now could go on to polishing. And I'm just using some medium cut compound because that's what I had on hand, and this is still a budget build. And by the way, I'm reviewing the total cost in the next video, so stay tuned for that. I used my big polisher for every surface that I was able to reach and some elbow grease for the smaller parts, and it was a lot of work, but the end result turned out amazing. Now that the paint looks amazing, that's the easy part done, because as pretty as it may look, it's still useless if I don't get it to work. So that's why I went back to Chris at VanMoof to start fitting the new BMS or battery management system. You can see the new and old BMS next to each other right here, and yes, the new BMS is a lot smaller than the old one because it lacks all of the communication components, which is exactly what we want. As you would have seen in the previous episode, we don't need to replace any actual cells, just the BMS and all of the wires that connect to it. As I'm replacing the wires, Chris advised placing a small bit of foam tape underneath the solder connections to avoid any punctures and a big fire basically. These BMS wires basically balance the cells, hence why the 10 wires go from negative to positive, splining in at every cell group. After taping all of the wires down, I now could connect the BMS, and you might have seen this little black cable right here. This is actually an NTC and it measures the temperature, and later on we will place this NTC somewhere in the cell pack just to act as an extra safety switch. So the battery is now back inside the bicycle, which leaves us with 4 wires coming out of there. These two right here are the discharge wires, which I already attached the plug to. So we should be able to do some testing. And these two are the charge wires, which is where we will attach a plug to charge the bike from. Because I plan to use this battery more than once, so we might want to charge it. And in theory, this should kind of make us able to do some testing and attach the front wheel motor. But I don't know if it will work yet. This is the new controller that I will be using. It came directly out of China and it only cost me around 40 bucks including the display. So that's a steal, and it should really be pretty straightforward from now on, but it just so happens that the controller came without any instructions. So after I finally got the new controller to power on, nothing seemed to happen even though I was trying every setting. And I just could really have used a little manual with this controller. After a lot of time trying to connect the pedal assist sensor, and when I was about to give up, I found out that there might be another way to power the motor, which is the walk assist. So I gave that a try. Hoppa! That's a wrap.